Let's go ahead and take a look at the Senate and how we're looking there. We can put your projection up on the screen, guys. This is A10. So just take us through this a little bit, how these various races are breaking and what the most likely outcome is Wednesday morning when things start to shake out.
Yeah, so this is where I have the polling average, right? And so I think that the pathway for Dems is just for one thing to go wrong for Republicans and for them to hold on to Ohio where they have a small lead.
Got it.
Yeah, they got 4 states where that could be an option: Nebraska, Texas, Florida, and Montana. All of those except Montana have been moving a little more to the right lately in the close, which is kind of what we expected. There's still a pathway for it to happen, but you know, they're underdogs. 2 and 3 shot GOP holds on to the Senate, maybe a touch more.
Yeah, and I think we have that. We can show the projection, the next element A11, that shows the chances of winning a Senate majority. So you've got Democrats at roughly a third of, 33%, and Republicans roughly 66%. So Democrats with like a 1 in 3 shot at keeping the Senate majority. So is it your assessment at this point their best shot is Montana?
Yeah, I would still think it is. I mean, Testers has a lot of fundamental strengths. Last election, he did a great job. He has huge fundraising advantage, which is a sign of candidate quality. He's running against a first-time candidate. She has his strengths. She has some weaknesses with the whole gun incident.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, I'm looking at the analysis. So for the Democrats to, so like in this, overperform, like where would the pickups come? It would be Montana, and then what else for them to keep a majority?
Oh, they just need Montana.
They just need Montana.
Ohio.
Wow. Oh, if they hold on to Ohio.
Which they probably,
right.
well, when I say probably, like, I think it might be the closest Senate race, right?
Yeah,
but I think by the time they're picking up another, they probably have Ohio. And he's led most of the polling.
Yeah, he's led, in most of them. They don't seem all that confident. The Moreno, I mean, even the internal ones that they've released show him running like well below Trump. I mean, Sherrod Brown's a strong candidate. He's a actual credibility on union and steel issues. He's been there for what, like 2 cycles now for a couple. He literally wrote a book. He supported a lot of, he's running ads being like, I support President Trump's tariffs. It's like everything you possibly do.
He and Dan Osborne.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they used to do. That's what Dems used to do.
That's my question then about Osborne. So how does he factor into all of this? How's the polling been looking at him? Because we've been keeping our eye on
yeah, it's kind of more. It's kind of a little more friendly to Fisher, which makes some sense, but it's still razor tight.
Yeah,
he's outrunning Fisher to the right in his ads, which is kind of interesting to see. He's saying, "I stand with Trump on all these things," and Fisher's been bought out by big donors.
Right.
And, I think it's working even if he doesn't win because it's incredible how close it is.
Yeah, truly. It definitely could be a model for future cycles.
Oh, I think it will be, as was Evan McMullen for him. I mean, he's running a more moderate campaign. That was the guy who ran in Utah who only lost to Lee by 10 points.
Right.
It's a plus 30 state.
Yeah.
So one other thing on Ohio, I think part of the problem for them is, people don't trust politicians. Just about the only career profession that people trust less is a used car salesman. And so, regardless of Moreno's individual characteristics, like that's a hard thing to get over from
there. That's his
I didn't
background.
think about that, but that's true. Yeah, that's
funny.
absolutely true. Yeah, they literally have a national reputation, I think, for a reason. Well, you teased Montana, so I guess we have to get to it. There's this shocking clip of Megyn Kelly interviewing Tim Shea about an alleged gunshot wound incident where he claims, what did he say? He dropped the gun.
Here's what he claims. He claims he was wounded during his military service.
Right.
And now he's saying that when he went to a national park, he fell while he was hiking, and the bullet fell out of his arm. But then he lied to the park rangers and said that he accidentally shot himself while he was at the park. And of course, the story has shifted, and basically it looks like he lied about being wounded during his service, and how he actually was wounded was by shooting himself in a national park, which also, by the way, that would be illegal. You're not allowed to discharge firearm in a national park.
That's a good point.
So there's that as well. So anyway, Megyn Kelly, who's obviously on the right, Trump supporter, wants Republicans to win, et cetera, was trying to get to the bottom of what the hell his story even actually was. And even now, he still can't really explain it in a way that makes any kind of a sense. Let's take a listen how that went.
They're saying that you were in a park, Glacier Park, that you dropped your weapon, that it went off inadvertently and it shot you in the arm, and that there's a park ranger saying she spoke to you about that. And it looks like you spoke to the Washington Post and you said that you lied when you told the park ranger about this. So which is it? Like, did you shoot yourself in the arm inadvertently in Glacier Park?
No, we've discussed this at length repeatedly with every media outlet for the last year. It's been beat to death. The point was, at the time, I was injured and went to the hospital. They required a police report because any gunshot wound requires a police report of any kind. And they said, we have to file this. We have to report this to law enforcement. It wouldn't work. And a weapon of that size that had happened.
Did you have a wound, Tim, in the park?
No. Yes, I fell and injured my arm when we were hiking. So that's why I went, because I could feel the bullet get dislodged when I fell on the arm. You could feel the bullet get dislodged, and then went to the ER to say, hey, look, I've got internal bleeding going on here. I've injured my arm. Can you take a look at this? Make sure there's nothing serious going on here. And then,
are there medical records where the ER can say we did not treat a gunshot wound?
Well, there isn't. I mean, that's the point. You go in, you check on it, and you leave. There's not an extensive medical record for any of this stuff.
So, I don't really know anything about what he just said right there.
I'm still figuring it out myself.
Like it fell out of his arm. It didn't happen. What did he say previously? He's like Navy SEAL dudes he was involved in whenever he got wounded.
Why would you lie to the park ranger and claim that you shot yourself when actually your bullet just fell out of your arm while you were hiking? Oh, and conveniently, there's no medical records.
It's a magic bullet. That's what I was joking
about.
I was like, it's literally like the magic bullet that fell out of Governor Connolly with the Kennedy assassination. Anyways, the point is, that's getting a lot of attention in Montana. A lot of gun owners who are there, and I think he's been hit with that. So you think that there's a possibility of an upset?
There's a possibility for sure that Tester wins. He's done it before. He's outperformed polls before. Tester he crafts quite a persona. Has 3 fingers, lost 2 on the farm. He comes back literally every weekend from the Senate to farm. He's as committed to his ranch as any Montana rancher.
Yeah.
He's also a state that used to elect 50% of its statewide officials were Democrats for like the first 12, 14 years of this millennium. And that slowly ended one by one, even as it was voting for Republicans for a while, but that split ticket voting's reducing. So it's getting tougher every year.
Yeah, I guess, actually, my final thing here on the Senate part is, can you give people a sense of how crazy Senate races can be off? Like, what was it, Maine last time? Susan Collins,
God.
They had her down by, I think, 12? I actually want to say 12 points for Susan Collins, but it might have been 8. It was something like
ridiculous. I think
she
won by 8, and she was down by 2 or 3, so the margin might have been like 12
The margin
off.
was crazy, right? But then they had, Jamie Harrison, they had it tied with Lindsey Graham. He won by like 17 or something.
No, that's the height of bad polling for the Senate was 2020.
Right.
It was even worse than the presidential polling. It just didn't get as much attention. So it's not normally as bad as that, but it can be. Yeah, Senate poll misses are bigger than presidential on average.
And people don't spend a lot of money. National media outlets are not spending money polling Montana all the time. They're not spending a lot of money polling Ohio as well. So I guess the point of preparing people is upsets can happen in those places in particular, like we just showed everyone with Iowa. No one's polling Iowa except Van Seltzer. So, we don't have a lot of data. It could be, certainly possible, but it just shows that big surprises like that can come from places that people are not paying all that much attention to. I remember Texas last time, that big Latino surge, nobody picked it up, period, in any of the national polling, because there had no reason to be polling South Texas. And then the polls come in, and it's Zapata County or whatever goes in for Trump. You're like, what the hell is going on down here? So it can be fun for tomorrow night, is what I'm preparing for.
Last question for you. What is the extent, the likely extent of ticket splitting that we could see?
Great.
Because and this is relevant not just in the Senate race. I'm thinking of North Carolina in particular.
Yeah.
This dude running for governor, Mark Robinson, on the Republican side is probably going to lose by definitely double digits, maybe 15, maybe 20.
Yeah.
And yet it's a state that Trump really kind of needs to win. So do you think it's possible to have that level of ticket splitting? Yes. And what about in the Senate races? I've seen some indications that, there was more separation between the presidential race and the Senate candidates on the Democratic side in particular. It seems like in the blue wall states, that seems to be tightening, and there seems to be sort of more direct correlation between the presidential race and the Senate races. Are you seeing that in other places as well?
Yeah, there's some correlation for sure. They're getting closer, but look, Pennsylvania is like a 50-50 state for the presidential. At least in my model, it's 80% for the Senate. That type of upset can happen.
Yeah.
It requires 2020 level polling miss for McCormick to win. That's happened before, but that's one of the biggest polling misses we've ever seen. So he's an underdog. He's done a good job against Casey, who overperformed Hillary Clinton by like 15 points in some red rural districts.
Yeah,
wow.
Because he goes everywhere.
Yeah, and he's from Western PA. He's got the credibility. He's got the family name. He's like, it's as good as it gets, I think, for Pennsylvania.
I went to undergrad in Gettysburg, and he was showing up in Gettysburg more than once.
Really?
And that's deep red rural area in Pennsylvania.
Funny. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Amazing.
All right. Well, we are going to see you tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
Me here for the
Rest
big
up.
show. So
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. It was always great to have your insights.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show. Help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.